So is Patrick Dearson the lighting industry? Oh my God.
Yeah, I think we got enough Patrick Dearson for one day.
Voodoo
Is
funeral?
this like an ego thing, or?
I'm just sitting here with my demons who are consistently disappointed with me.
You crack me up, dude.
They have
You're
nothing
original.
nice to say.
You're original, if nothing else. That's so
When
funny.
you're not talented, you need to have gags, man. It's just the way it is.
Oh, they
But
even move
funny,
and
yeah.
talk and stuff. Look at them. That's hilarious. So funny.
Gumper. Nice. I like the background, Andrew.
Where's Gumper?
Figured
Speaks
it's
like-
appropriate for our industry.
Oh, there you go.
Funeral.
Yeah, there you go. Is that your company? Going out in the casket?
Yeah, we've started the dancing pallbearers.
That's
He's
a
done the
mega
pivot.
stage. There's a mega stage inside that casket. It's
Yep.
melted down.
It's my career.
That's funny. Who said that?
That's Steve Warren.
Philip said
Oh, was
that.
it Steve?
How you doing, guys? My career was Philip.
Oh, it's
Hey, Marcel, did you see that Live Events Coalition video they just posted?
I did, and has everyone seen that? If you haven't, I'm happy to share it. But it's a very sad, very somber, very real video that they posted.
Very informative. Like, I
It
think
is.
for somebody who doesn't get our industry, like, you get it.
Yeah, but for somebody who's in our industry, you just want to like punch a
Yeah.
hole in the wall.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just a very very real video. I'm happy to you know, I try to include at least the interesting ones that you guys send me. I try and include them on the email that I send out after this chat. So
But I do recommend sending it to your congressmen, your senators, anyone who doesn't get what we do. Post it on
Yeah.
Facebook, share it.
well, speaking of that, and I actually, maybe I'll wait for a minute until a few more people come on, because I want to make sure that that we talk about this with as many possible people as we can. So I'll just wait a minute. Seeing some happy drinking faces. This is pretty exciting. Cheers, all.
Hey, Christian.
Hey.
Hey, dude, I got your sweatshirt. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to
Yeah,
hear it.
it's rad.
Comfy,
Super
cozy.
comfy.
Oh,
Super comfy, too.
Christian Jackson has taken a moment out of his incredibly busy YouTube life.
I
and
literally
joined us.
just stopped streaming 5 minutes ago to hop on.
That is incredible. It's incredible. I'd like to know where these 50,000 followers that you have come from.
Most of them from like Germany and the UK.
Yeah.
Is that for
Christian's doing
real?
incredible work, man.
Really?
Yeah, he's smashing it.
Yeah. No, I mean his stuff is amazing. And you know, when he was on my podcast, I don't remember what it was. I think on Instagram or something. It got posted on Instagram, and boom! All of a sudden, we had like 300 likes or whatever, just because Christian was tagged on it. So I appreciate that. I should have you on every week. You're great for my numbers.
It has a diminishing result. It has a half-life.
You do age down the geezers thing though, so I got to be careful.
Yeah.
It's hard to call it Geezers of Gear when you have Christian Jackson on the show.
That's what I said when
Oh,
you
we-
asked me to do it a long time ago. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, easier yet.
Yeah, but I've had Sooner, and I've had who else? Tiffany, and
I will be the youngest.
yes, there you go.
Hey,
There's so much
Christian,
respect to Christian for reaching out and helping so many people. You know, I keep coming across LDs who say, "Oh no, I need to keep my secrets to myself." You think, no, that's totally not what you want to do. You want to
Yeah,
show.
I mean, I
do
think
the
there's a certain value in providing a workflow, not necessarily, you know, secrets per se, but giving people options to see others' workflow, I think helps expand your own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Christian, could you share the link to wherever you post these videos in the chat?
Yeah, 1 second. I'll post the YouTube link and then,
Cool.
sorry, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to,
hijack. It's all
yeah.
good. It's all good.
And
That's
the other-
what really this is for.
Good
So
place.
And the other question I had is, can you explain the ultimate lighting shootout to everybody?
Do you want me to explain it real quick?
Yeah. Could you?
Okay. So essentially, Colin Stenzel and I kind of co-conspired, I guess you could say, to create some sort of fundraiser that we thought would be more interesting than just like, hey, we're raising money for this random thing. Here's a link to donate if you want to donate. We wanted to make it something where everybody could kind of come together and do something fun that maybe we've all, either wanted to or maybe not even known we wanted to do, which is blow up a bunch of shitty old lights that have no real function other than taking up space in the shop. So we have a couple of sponsors from various vendors across the U.S. who have contributed their old worn out pieces of equipment to go down the firing range, and we'll be live streaming it, be full multicam setup, and you can tune in and just watch. That's always fun. Or if you'd like to chip in, we're donating all of the proceeds from that stream to the Live Nation Crew Nation Relief Fund.
That's awesome. And when is it? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that
This
part.
Sunday. It's this Sunday. Yep.
Cool.
And I think didn't Matt Bratz donate a bunch of gear or video gear or something like that?
I'd have to look. Collins has been coordinating a lot of the donation stuff, and I've been coordinating the promotion and getting the word out.
I think there was a post on Facebook, and I thought he mentioned his company. Yeah. And Matt's usually on this group chat, so.
That's really like the big difference between audio and lighting is, lighting takes their old gear to the firing range and shoots it to pieces, and audio puts it on eBay and asks way too much money for it. Dude, it's classic vintage analog. No, it was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Back in college, we used to roof test all the old Kliegel Fresnels. So we'd go onto the roof of the theater, which is like 75-foot fly loft. And we just start tossing old Kliegel Fresnels into the dumpster and see if they'd survive. And strangely, the Kliegels survive.
Nice. Good times. Thanks for the link, Christian.
Yeah, I'll post the shootout, the direct.
The
direct link for the shootout as well.
Please. Yeah, perfect. So that's Sunday time-ish.
It's 10 a.m. Pacific, which I believe is 1700 Greenwich Mean Time. So it's a multi-hemisphere event. So you can watch it in the evening if you're in Europe, or in the morning if you're in the U.S.
And I assume you're recording it and putting it on YouTube as well.
It's kind of tricky with the terms of service. We had to make sure that everything we're doing abides by the different terms of service between different platforms. So YouTube is kind of tenuous right now. Twitch is going to be where we're doing the live stream, and then it'll be recorded. So once we find a proper place for it, it'll be uploaded for everyone to watch later too.
Excellent. So a couple things I wanted to cover. First, I received actually from Patrick Whalen an email from Michael Strickland, and oddly I got it from Michael Strickland a few minutes later, along with a lot deeper instructions. So Michael has penned another letter that really is very much targeted towards, speaking to your elected officials. And I will share a copy of that. I'll make a note to myself to send the PDF. And, it's another great read, and it's basically just talking about the fact that so far our voices have been silent, and he used the line, "They do not know we exist." And also talking about that a lot of other businesses, salons, restaurants, the movie business, hotels, hospitality in general, bars, clubs, theaters, even cruise lines, they all have a plan to reopen, and they kind of control the timing for that for the most part. We don't, we don't control our timing very well. We all kind of fall into that mass gathering sort of genre. And therefore, we can't say we are going to open on, August 1st or July 15th or whatever, whereas most industries are already, like even cruise lines are selling cruises already. I think as early as late June, as I recall. So it's a great letter. I'm going to share it with all of you. What you decide to do with it is up to you. I continue to reach out to any of the local politicians I know, which are not that many because I spent most of my life trying to avoid politicians, and now suddenly they've come in handy. So, so there is that. And what else did I want to share with you? Broadway, Chris, I don't know if anyone else on here, maybe David Barber would be able to talk about this, but I did see this week, I think, that Broadway has announced, or the Broadway League has announced that Broadway shows will not be back until at least Labor Day. Is that accurate? Anyone?
I believe that
It was
is
on
the case.
Thursday, no sooner than Labor Day for Broadway.
Yeah.
Marcia Stern.
Hey, Marcel Fairbairn. I'm an old
How
news
are you?
writer.
And you know, Marcel, if they say that they can open on Labor Day, that really means October or November, because it's going to take them 6 to 8 weeks to get up and running again.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. This is one of the things that I don't know that the world outside of us understands. You can't just all of a sudden go, oh, okay, well, we can have concerts this week. Great. You know, you kind of need some time leading up to that to book the venues and the talent and the buses and all the logistics and everything, you know, and to
There's
sell
going to be a
tickets.
mad rush. I mean, it's going to be like, once the cat's out of the bag, it'll be a mad rush, I think.
Well, David, if you recall, they closed Broadway and all the culturals in New York City on the 12th of March. I got a letter today, an email today from the Brooklyn Museum advising me that they're extending the Studio 54 exhibit, which I've contributed to, and asked me for a loan on the goods. But anyway, point being, they've extended the run until November, which would indicate to me they're kind of, if they're doing a 3-month run and they're thinking possibly in tandem with Broadway opening, or at least opening up sometime in September, that sort of makes sense. But again, it's all qualified with subject to revision.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. No matter how you look at it, it's definitely a bummer. One
Totally.
person I cannot see if he's on here or not, Corey Easterbrook, are you here?
I can text him to come on.
Oh, it's all right. If he's not here, it's fine. I mean, I remember seeing something, whether it was on social media or maybe he even emailed it to me or sent me a message, but I think his local venue or an event center or something closed. I think he's in Fort Myers or something, right?
Yeah, there were actually two. There was a theater and a event center that did weddings, reviews,
Jesus.
stuff like that.
And they're
yeah.
permanently closed, both of them.
Yep. And then in New York, there are actually two theater companies that closed. And David, I think, can probably speak a little more to that. I just saw it on Broadway World.
Well, one of them was Shetler Studios, which was a rehearsal space and an off-Broadway theater. And the other one was called the Secret Theater, which was in Queens.
Yeah.
No one really knew about it, though.
Yes, exactly. Actually, I never had.
Yeah. Sorry. Not a good time to joke when you're talking about a theater that just closed.
You have to laugh.
So, you know, another thing that I actually wanted to bring out, I know most of the news this week has been pretty bummer news. I don't know, hopefully someone can share some great news with us, but an article today or a blog post got very, very popular and a lot of people forwarded it to me. And it's on a medium called Medium. And it's called Our Industry Isn't Coming Back Like Yours Is. And it was written by a gentleman named Nick Rivero. And I asked Nick to come on the call with us today. So I think he's here somewhere. Nick?
Yeah, hello. I'm here.
Hey.
Hey, Nick.
How are you?
Can you hear?
Hey. So
Oh,
there's an echo.
everyone.
I don't know how that's happening. I've never heard an echo like that one.
Uh-oh.
You must be an audio guy.
Reverbing out.
Man, I haven't seen Nick in 7 years.
Let me try.
Hey, buddy.
It's been a minute. Is that any better on audio?
No, there's a really weird echo.
Speakers on.
Yeah, do you have the
No.
speakers on?
Nope. You're positive I have studio on the desk.
Yeah.
I've had bad luck with Zoom lately. Let me try this again.
If it wasn't for the echo, I think you had a little bit of helium there, Nick. You're like,
Yeah.
that was a good article, by the way, Nick. I read it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think almost everyone on here read it, and I sent it
Yeah.
to you all
Spot on.
earlier as well.
It trended pretty quickly from what I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe while he's working on his audio here. So first of all, before I got on the call, I think it was almost 2,000 likes on it, which I would assume it's got over 10,000 views or reads, which is a pretty big number because you don't look to be a professional writer from what I've seen. And so number one, what sort of motivated you to write it? Was it just the same anger and frustration that we're all feeling, or was it something specific? And secondly, did you expect it to go viral?
See, can you guys, I heard that.
good
Can you
now.
hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, great. So I guess where to start? I had actually I wrote that article across about 3 weeks of kind of sitting on that and processing through it, writing it over a series of just early mornings, usually around 7 in the morning, just kind of putting it together. By no means did I ever expect it to go viral by any stretch. And by viral, it's currently at 350,000 views right now.
Jesus.
I mean, I expected my mom to forward it to a few friends and maybe get over 10 or something, but to get to 350,000 just blew my mind. It's incredibly humbling. I think that's the biggest thing I can say about this out there is my background is I've been in the industry a short 15 years. I toured for many years, across the spectrum. I've lived my years on a tour bus. I have a company now and a team of people. And as we all know, that was why I wrote this article, I should say, is we're a quiet industry that, as I said in the article, hides in the shadows. And that's what I was seeing in this, is just that our industry is still in the shadows to the rest of the public. And really just how many people don't understand where we're coming from. Friends, family that don't even understand what it's like, what our life is like, what we're going through right now is where this really came from. And so, yeah, it just, I just wrote this piece just really to bring light to that and share that perspective. And I'm just so humbled. The response, I can't even tell you, is I've had Instagram stories sent to me of people in tears like that.
Wow.
I was sitting there with my wife on the couch last night, just reading some of the, I'm at like 3,000 shares on Facebook, and just reading through people saying how much they can relate to this, what they're going through, that it kind of brought a voice to that. And that is just beyond humbling to me to see that.
Cool. Have you figured out how to monetize it? Sorry.
No, that
Get a
was
quick
actually,
paywall up.
Well, that was actually because on Medium you can actually put it behind a paywall, and I actually intentionally wanted to make it free.
Yeah, of course.
To get the word out there. I mean, I've sent that article on. My head of marketing on my team has already sent that to everyone. I've personally sent it to our congressmen and women here in Georgia to get the word out of saying, this is who we are. This is what we do. We've sent it to NPR, to local news, to everybody to say, this is our community. We're here, and especially for the state of Georgia, we're not a major production hub. So to really bring light to that here, that there are production people here, there is a live events industry here. That's something I think that is overlooked in this, is, it's instantly thought of as New York, LA, Vegas, on and on. So we've
There's
really
a
been
big
trying to
shoot
bring light to
community
that.
there too. There's a big film community there. They shoot a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
shows down
Oh yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and all those
Yeah.
guys are out of work too.
Oh, very
Yeah.
much.
Have you gotten any sort of positive response as far as a politician saying, "This is amazing, I'm going to do something for you," or just really attaboys so far?
No, we haven't. We've been pushing. I should back up and say this isn't the first push we've made to our local politicians. We
Right.
have said things before, put things out there saying, hey, we're here, we're in the state, to kind of no response. But that's not, it's not an answer for giving up by any stretch. Like, we're going to keep
Yeah.
getting the word out there. And one thing I can say is, I'm not a very political person. I can tell you many stories. I grew up in a very interesting household of my parents who were both Democrat and Republican. So I grew up literally in the middle of this very interesting political nature in my household. So I very much don't believe, I don't want to be political. I just want people to know where we're coming from. And that's where I come from, is sharing our story, getting it out there, making it heard, sharing that with the community. That's really the standpoint of kind of my heartbeat behind this.
Well, you don't have to be political to lean on politicians to do their job.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what we should all be doing. And it's the same thing that Michael Strickland from Bandit was saying in his letter today was, make these people work, like make them do their jobs. They're still getting full paychecks. If they get, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 emails and letters from people like us that tell them the story and share your article and share your own version of your article or whatever.
Right.
That's very powerful. These people can't ignore us forever.
Right.
So I think one of the things that I've seen in our industry, what you're doing or what you've just done, and 350,000, I think you said, is unbelievable. That's like, wow, because that obviously has gotten outside of our industry at that point in a pretty big way, right? And so what you've done, what Strickland's done, the guy behind Live Event Coalition, what he's done, there are people who are able to sort of project their voice and use it for good things to try and help us recover from all of this. And it's important, because otherwise, we really are not being heard.
Yeah. And the thing I would say to that is I'm a nobody. I'm just another guy running a studio here in Atlanta. And that's the thing I would say to this is my charge to everyone else is I'm no different. I'm one of all of us. I have, like I said, been on the road. I do shows for a living. And this was me just putting my heart and emotions behind how I felt about this and writing an article. And it's like I said, it was never meant to be viral. It was just meant to get the word out there any way I could and start communicating that. And that's what I say to everybody else is, get that out there. Share your thoughts. It can be a post, it can be a Medium article, it can be an email, anything like that, to just really communicate where our industry is coming from.
Well, the last thing we can do is sit back and just, quietly take this. We can't. We can't we can't just be quiet. We have to. And I've seen I was talking to somebody earlier this week who's doing concerts in a cul-de-sac. He's doing cul-de-sac shows and then broadcasting these cul-de-sac shows. And, that's a message. That sends a message. Nobody's making money off of a cul-de-sac show. But if all of a sudden there's 10,000 cul-de-sac shows, we've now said something. We've stood up and said, hey, don't ignore us.
Yeah.
And so, no, I applaud you. I think it's awesome what you were able to do. And obviously something about what you said resonated with an awful lot of people. And, I think if you get with Christian just after this podcast, he'll tell you how to get rich from it. I'm just kidding. I know that's not the mission, so I'm just playing.
Yeah.
But really, Christian could help you out a little bit. And So anyways, yeah, way to go. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been really humbling, and, you know, we're all, I would say we were all in this together. And so it's like we talked about, is I say continue to get the word out there, but also, use what I said in articles, use the time to look at what's next, to, rest, to recover, but also to focus on what's coming and what's next and those kind of things. And that's what we're doing. Is I'm every day sitting here thinking, what can we be doing? What's next? But I'm also enjoying the time with my family. I have a 1-year-old daughter. So keeping up with her and enjoying that side of life, that's something I don't always get to do when I'm traveling 3, 4, 5 days a week sometimes. So that's what I say is, the grass is always greener. And so I say all the things, which is,
but what you just said about, using this time and stuff. I mean, for anyone who comes out of this exactly the same skill level, exactly the same talents, exactly the same business, whatever it is, if you're exactly the same when you come out of this, I think you've missed an opportunity. And
100%.
I mean, I'm working very hard with my team to launch a completely new software platform.
Awesome.
At a time when, the world doesn't really need a new software platform, but it's a great time to launch a new software platform when you can test when you're not as busy. And,
I get it.
So, I mean, the thing is, we have to use this time. Otherwise, you're just going to walk out of this a damaged, wounded soldier,
I say this to my team a lot, which is every day you're in business, you're a freelancer, you have a studio company, you work for someone, every day you're working, you should always be learning something. And the thing is, what you learn can go one of two ways. Most days it's something really good. It's, I learned a new way to do this. I learned about a new piece of software. I made a new connection. But sometimes those things are not great. And right now we're in the not great. But the thing is, it's about learning from that and learning, like you're saying, how can you take this time and progress yourself? How can you move forward? Or what can you be learning? How can you be networking? I mean, that's one of the things I've done so much now, is just reach out to friends, colleagues, people in the industry, people not in the industry, catching up, making new connections, sending text messages, those kind of things, to just remind people, hey, we're here, talking to all sorts of friends. How can I help? What can I be doing? Can I send an email for you? What can I do? Just any of those types of things you can be doing. That's the season we're in, is the things we're learning are in that, overall not great category, but it's, how do you learn something from it? How do you learn something to push you forward?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so you said one thing, which it's funny because the letter that I got from Michael Strickland said that there's a saying that has become a catchphrase that he doesn't like, which is, we're all in this together. And I mean, it's truthful. We are in this together, but he's kind of rewritten it and said, same storm, different boats. Because, and it really makes sense, this same storm, different boats, because some of us are in rowboats. We're, individuals that are either on a 1099 or we're a sole proprietorship, or even an LLC or something. And then there are companies like PRG who have, almost $1 billion in revenue, and so they're in a 300-foot yacht, which has got the same problems that we do in our rowboats, right? And so, it's all true. I mean, it's just it's a shit situation that we just have to try and make our voices louder and use our platform, whatever that platform is, whether, you're a musician or a movie star or a whatever, use that platform to try and improve things. McMean, you're making me friggin' hungry. Jesus. I'm sitting here watching your thing and my stomach's growling, your background. Like, that shouldn't be allowed. Come on.
I was going to put the sushi one on there, but it's a little fast.
It's all he ever
saw
does
it.
is make
I
people
already saw
hungry.
it. I've been staring at your background the entire time. I saw the sushi. So yeah. Well,
Made a smoked
Nick,
brisket yesterday.
again, Nick, thank you so much for writing it. And again, it's people like you who are sticking your neck out there and finding ways to get things. Because when something goes viral, it doesn't just go viral for you because you're not monetizing it. And I'm just playing with this monetizing thing. You're monetizing it for our industry. I mean, you're basically dragging us all behind you and saying, "Come on, guys, we're going over here." Yeah, and that's a very good thing. And I'm trying to do some of the same stuff, both by just constantly pushing content and things out there, but also, I have some political connections that, I sometimes wish I didn't have, but, I actually went for a meeting with someone last week who used to run the Republican Party or whatever in Florida. And, very influential woman. And I sat and talked to her for 3 hours about basically the impact to our industry and the fact that we are relatively voiceless at this point. Everyone's so concerned about restaurants and so concerned about cruise lines and airlines, and we all need all of those. I mean, especially airlines, God forbid. But what about us? At the same time, what about us? And I don't remember the statistics, but it's something like a $35 billion industry with, is it 10 million people who work in our industry globally? That's
12
incredible numbers.
States. 12 in the United States, they quoted.
That's unreal. These are massive numbers. So yeah. Cool.
It's I think the thing, just to wrap up and say, is we're all all of us matter and all of us count. And I think that's the thing, to the point of the scale of a PRG all the way down to a freelancer, is we all need to say, put our 2 cents in, because 2 cents add up after a while. And that's the thing is, that's what this has shown me so much in this article, is just how it resonates with so many people. And that's what I tell people is, if this resonates with you, push it forward, push it to people who need to hear it, push the message out there, and just keep going.
Well, obviously people have. So thanks again for writing it. And, hopefully Nick has inspired some other people, and we'll see more of this kind of stuff, because, 350,000 from Nick plus, Patrick Dearson writes something and 300,000 people read it. And, these numbers become incredible to a point where, you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
So anyone else, anything exciting?
Marcel?
I am happy to report that on Friday, this is just more of a personal win, but we got some cancellations in for payment, which was great. So we were able to send out a bunch of emails to crew members who lost their gig just days before having to go out on it, and got them paid. So it was a nice small win.
Oh, I couldn't figure out where you were going with that. Cancellations in for payment. And I was like, oh, damn, I'm sorry. And it was a good thing.
Yeah, no, it was really great. The show's canceled. Yeah. We had it in process for a long time. It was under contract, but all of these guys had written it off. They knew that they were not going to get paid. And I just didn't give up, and I just kept pressing. So it's been a fight for a very long time, but it finally came through, and did the right thing.
Oh, that's amazing. Good for you, man. Good for you. That's a win.
Never been so happy to send checks out. It was great.
David Barber, you were trying to say something.
Yeah, I just had a question. When you spoke to politicians down there, did you feel like you were making any headway with them?
Well, you know how politicians are, right? So, oh, Marcel, that's terrible, And I mean, meanwhile, they got their hand out, but I'll tell you, so I have a friend here who contributed last year to this particular person $10,000 to a fund, to help her get elected in something. And not only was I able to get her on the phone, I was able to go to her house for a meeting for 4 hours And so, you know, political contributions do matter and do actually get, like, this is why billionaires own politicians, because you're able to get things done. But even hundredaires can get things done with politicians if you are doing the right things at the right time with the right people. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I was able to actually, you know, kind of really push the bar forward and get things happening and kick the ball down the field, or whatever saying you want to use. But I do want to mention something on my side. So my COO, who is actually on this call with us today, had to fight like hell against or with, depending on which view you look at, our bank. And so we applied for this PPP funding to keep all of our employees, which we have done, by the way, to keep them in place. And we applied on, I think, the very first day, the very first morning of the very first day. And it's just gone on and on and on. And so our bank is called, it used to be called SunTrust, and then they merged with BB&T and became this thing called Truist, which, you know, is a bit of a, you know, sort of oxymoron. But anyways, just complete inactivity forever and ever. And so our COO, Claudette, stayed on top of them forever. And just today, we finally got funded. So, yay.
Nice.
So, you know, I know companies just like mine, and John Featherstone, who's not here right now, but I know LightSwitch has been going through a very similar thing where they applied very early on, and they were with Chase Bank, and, you know, just complete inaction, can't get them on the phone, can't get any response. Chase is even worse, where you just have to be this big or else, you know, you're nobody. And so he just fell through the cracks, and he went and reapplied with PayPal, and I think got a response immediately and got the, whatever that number's called, or the, you know, the loan number thing or whatever. So keep trying, keep digging if that's what you're waiting on. And I know that it's shut down again. I think they ran out of money again or whatever, but they'll keep printing more. Beautiful thing about government. Yeah.
Aside from the grant, did anybody else get in on the EIDL?
I'm still waiting to hear on my end.
Yeah.
Same here, although they dropped it to 150,000 from the 2 million.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, the only thing I could say is, even if you don't need the money right now, this is the EIDL. I'm not saying the PPP, but the EIDL money is available to really every business as a, you know, it's just an SBA backed loan that's relatively low interest, that has very attractive payback terms, and you should be applying for it. Because even if you don't use it and it sits in your bank, I don't think you have to start paying for it for the first year. And even if it just sits in your bank, and you're not, by the way, by taking an EIDL loan, you're not taking it from some needy business that would have otherwise got it. That's not how it works.
And it doesn't affect your PPP.
Correct. Yeah. No,
I also hear a lot of people saying this PPP is kind of a scam, if that makes any sense. Like, a lot of people are taking these loans and realizing that there's certain limitations, and their employees aren't coming back because they're getting more money. So they're just like giving the money back, and they're not really.
Yeah, Matt, it's a good point, but it's not really a scam. It's just, it's got very specific rules that you have to follow. And so one of the things that my COO, Claudette, had to do was really just set up spreadsheets and stuff so that you know exactly what your payroll needs to be. Because what you want to do is get to that threshold where you don't have to pay it back. Because if you do everything properly, it's a grant, it's not a loan. If you don't do everything properly, it's a loan and you got to pay it back. And so
I received a message from Chase today in preparation for the loan forgiveness, which was pretty good. And they're pretty clear about it. And, you know, whereas the SBA isn't necessarily totally clear about it, and the rules do fluctuate. But the bottom line is, if you're being very regimented about how you're spending that money and are keeping proper records of how that gets spent, it shouldn't be that difficult. It should be very straightforward. And
Yeah.
some of the banks, Chase in particular, is going to have, just as they had an automated system of breaking down the PPP application, they're going to do the same in reverse for the loan forgiveness, so
Right.
that you should be able to do that very clearly in a step-by-step fashion, which I think should be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think
Well, I mean,
main
really,
thing is,
you just have to really pay attention, though. If you want it to become a grant, you have to pay attention very closely to your payroll. Like I know we did, and I won't call them out, but we did have somebody on here a few weeks ago who said, I got my PPP money. And I said, are you hiring everyone back? And he said, hell no. And he said, they're just going to forgive everything. This is just going to become a shit show, and they're going to forgive everything. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's not the government I know and love. You know, I mean, it just doesn't work like that. They want their money back. And then
well, that
he
same
came back
person
to-
did read the fine print afterwards.
Yeah, he came back a week later with a completely different story. He was like, oh shit, I don't want to spend the money now. You know, he's like hanging on to it. So
freaked out
it's
about
scary. I mean, you know, again,
I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how. You know, obviously everybody sets their businesses up differently, and it changes based on your scale. But certainly for smaller corporations, in this particular instance, it is very handy to have a separated account within your bank account system that's devoted to payroll.
Definitely.
Because that makes this tracking a hell of a lot easier. And if you're simply transferring funds each of your payroll cycles to make sure that the payroll is fulfilled, it becomes very simple to track. You don't have to worry about all the overages involved.
Well, Patrick, we've even gone a step further, and we've created a separate account for EIDL money that says, you know, this is toxic money. Don't touch it unless you absolutely have to. Because, you know, if you touch it, you know, you've basically broken the seal, and now you have to pay that money back, and you're going to keep using it. And next thing you know, you've just created another problem. You've solved one problem and created another one. And, you know, owing the government money is not going to be a blessing in the future. I guarantee that.
No, not in the least. And
they get paid no matter what.
I mean, but that is a 30-year loan. So, I mean, if it's going to keep you afloat until the business starts going, then.
Well, it's easy for you to say, Matt, because you're like 21 years old. I'm 50 friggin' 5. All right.
38.
None of us want a fucking mortgage without a house right now.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Yeah.
One of the questions obviously we're not eligible with a larger business, but one of the questions I've heard is that if the worst comes to the worst and you end up having to lay everybody off at the end of, you know, your PPP runs out, you then owe that money back because you didn't keep employees on.
No, that's not true.
That's not the case. Okay.
Yeah, that's not true. No, you basically have to keep them employed for 8 weeks.
Okay.
You know, this is an 8-week program.
Yeah.
And you have to keep them employed for that entire 8 weeks. And I'm no accountant, so I'm not trying to give anyone specific advice, but that's pretty much clear how it works. Is they're giving you money for 8 weeks of payroll.
There is some talk now of the SBA changing some of these rules because of people in our situation where we can't bring everybody back because in 8 weeks there's still not going to be any work probably.
Yeah.
So they are working on that, and I've been complaining to my bank about it and talking to the SBA about it, trying to get them to change because I've got the PPP money and I can't bring everybody back. It just won't work.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I don't know if Jay from Center Staging is on here. I don't think he is, but I spoke with Jay at Center Staging on a different Zoom call thing. And he was talking about the fact that, and Chris, take a deep breath. You know, I'm going to have to mute you here. But he was talking about the fact that he was competing with the government, and he had a real problem where he couldn't get his employees to come or to stay at work or to come back to work. So the PPP money was useless to him because he was going to end up having to pay it back. Because really, you know, he's a staging company, so they're relatively common laborers, and they were making at least close to what they were making working for him, and in some cases maybe more. But it's for such a short window. But again, we're talking about some people maybe who have a relatively short, you know, sight. You know, they're not looking a year down the road or 6 months down the road even. They're looking and saying, yeah, for the next couple of months, why would I do all this heavy work and sweep the warehouse when I can watch Netflix and make a little bit more money? So I'm not trying to start an argument by any stretch, but I am saying that there are companies who won't take the PPP money because of that. And I think that's sort of what you're saying, Bob.
We had the same issue, Marcel, down at RZI. We've had a massive fight where we almost lost the whole company last week because nobody wanted to come back to work out of 18 people.
Yeah.
So it was, we were in the same boat. I had to force everybody to come back to work.
Yeah.
Now let's talk of extending the additional $600 till the end of the year.
Is there really?
It just started popping up today on some of the news feeds. I don't know if we'll get it passed or not.
The Senate said that's a non-starter.
Yeah. I mean, there's, you know, the social side of me says that that's a really good thing, that we should do that. But the business side of me says that that's going to create a very difficult environment to keep people employed, because, you know, there has to be incentive to go to work every day. And for some people, that's not pride. That's just simply, where's my paycheck bigger? And I understand that, and that's okay. But so yeah, I mean, none of us can really control, I think, exactly what the government's going to do at this point. But you know, all we can do is just keep screaming for our industry, and hopefully at some point we'll get a louder voice, and they'll at least take a look at our industry and say, whoa, you know, we need to maybe lighten some of our restrictions. The one thing that keeps coming up is the indemnification, the liability issues, which I tend to believe is going to be dealt with, because it has been announced so many times in so many different speeches and stuff by the president and by, I think, the vice president and other people. So, you know, I think there is going to be some sort of an indemnification against COVID-related lawsuits. And I don't know how other people feel about that. I'm certainly willing
provided,
to.
as you know, we discussed this last week, provided duty of care is observed, you're still going to get that tricky one. I was going to bring up, did anybody see the safety event safety association white paper that came out this week?
Yeah, it's a very, very good document.
I thought so, very thought-provoking, particularly in the, you know, the sort of the testing procedures for audience and for crew members, and how difficult that's going to be, and how costly, because, you know, the sort of the minimum wage, love them, but the minimum wage security teams that we typically see on events are not going to be able to administer these kind of, you know, tests. And then what do you do when Joe Schmo in the line has a temperature of 101? Now what do you do? You've got to deal with Joe Schmo. You know, it opened up, again, you know, like we always say, the devil's in the details, and it opened up a tremendous amount of details that are going to be difficult to overcome and costly.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
So Marcel, I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm just going to let you know what we did in a couple of locations where we had people come in as freelancers. We hired freelancers who weren't making any money and let our shop guys stay at home. And we put a call out. It was filled in an hour.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
In 3 different states.
That's
so awesome. I hear this thing that people don't want to work, but you know, I had people calling me afterwards.
I wouldn't say people don't want to work.
People called me afterwards and was like, are there positions still open?
Yeah, how'd I miss that? Yeah. No, I would never say people don't want to work. I think that it's always like a threshold that if you drag the bar to a certain level, you get to a point where people not necessarily don't want to work, but will choose maybe the easier option. And so I think it comes down to what those pay levels are. You know, if we're talking about paying someone $30 an hour, you're probably going to do better than if you're offering $15 an hour, right? Where people might.
You know Huntley, right? Have you met Huntley?
Yeah, well, you make a very valid point.
The other thing I'll throw in on that, the PPP won't forgive 1099 employees. So that won't help for, you know, like my guys, I have a lot of guys that half of them said, I'd rather just sit home and make money.
Yeah.
But did you put a call out to any freelancers to come work in their place?
Luckily, I have about half of my shop guys have come back, but you know,
And there's stuff for them to do or no?
yeah, we've got a lot of fabrication stuff going on, so that's all moving. But the PPP won't forgive freelancers,
Right.
so it's not going to help. You know, basically it's not going to. The PPP doesn't help them.
They can apply for their own.
Yeah.
They can apply on their own. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying there's people to work out there right now. Not everybody's sitting at home with these, you know, these unemployment checks or
No,
Yeah.
a lot of the freelancers in New York City, a lot of the electricians, stagehands in general that aren't unionized, that can't get unemployment because they're 1099.
Yeah, the entire off-Broadway market.
Yeah, and they still haven't gotten their $600 a week check. They haven't.
Well,
got
that's the other thing.
$1,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. There's the part that you read in the news that says you're going to get this much plus this much and blah, blah, blah. You know, but then go stand in line for a little while or get on the phone or whatever. It ain't easy money to get. You know, it's probably easier to get $1,200 a week out of Huntley than it is out of the government right now.
I don't know about that.
It's a close battle. Close battle. Yeah. So how's Vegas doing, Patrick? I'd like my weekly Vegas update.
You're
Can't
muted.
hear you, buddy.
Volume.
Give us one of your altar people there.
Unmute yourself.
Look at him
It's actually
talking
been
away.
a little too windy to go cycling this week. We've literally had 50-mile-an-hour gusts today. It finally died down, so my bike rides have gotten a little slower. But it's pretty amazing because we opened up phase 1 on Saturday, and I took a ride yesterday to go meet with one of my colleagues over at his apartment on the southwest side of Vegas. And whereas the strip is still dead, you get a few blocks out of there, start heading toward the suburbs, we're definitely going to get second wave. People are just everywhere, not really social distancing, not really adhering to any of the rules. It was very surprising to see the behavior. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
It was as if nothing happened when I was out today.
I flew last week with American Airlines, and it was unbelievably horrific. I mean, they probably let 15 or 20 people on the plane without masks. Flight attendants took their masks off. There were 5 gate agents. One of them was wearing a mask. There were deadheading crew that came on the plane without masks. I mean, I was just sitting there just incredulous at what I was seeing. And the flights were, because they've canceled every flight, they even had standby passengers on the flight. The flight was completely full. Every seat was taken.
And they filled the middle seats as well, right?
They filled everything. Yeah, we got the usual, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very full flight today. Please stop your overhead. You know.
Yeah, but I thought they were going to block middle seats.
Yeah,
that went right out the window.
Yeah, that went. I guess went
Wow.
right out the window. It was truly, and I would say, obviously, LaGuardia and Newark were a lot better, but DFW. I would say only 25% of the TSA agents were wearing masks.
Wow.
It's a good
The
chance.
general public, probably
They may
about
not have the
50-50.
PPP.
Yeah.
You want a second wave? Because that's how you get a second wave.
Yeah, I mean, you know, our COO was texting me going, you know, how's it going? Because he's there, you know, where are we with our travel limitation back, you know, limiting travel. And I'm like, you don't want to send anybody out here. This is a mess.
Yeah, and it's funny because Wiseman was telling me he flew last week, something with his daughter. I can't remember what it was, an engagement thing or something. I can't remember.
She's having a baby, so he was going out to see her.
Yeah. So he said he flew last week, and it was nothing. It was, you know, pretty damn easy. It wasn't. But I mean, I think he was going to like Wyoming or something. You know, he wasn't going to anywhere that you were going. So.
But I think that was slightly before all of the phase 1s started happening. So
well, it was last week.
Was it? Or maybe
Like
wrong.
literally, less than a week ago, I think Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah,
Wednesday, I think he was flying.
I flew back last Wednesday. Obviously, there was certainly a better, there was much more discipline at the New York airports than the Dallas airport, but still,
Yeah.
it was, just like really, I was incredulous.
Yeah. Well, I have a house in Canada in the mountains, and I'm kind of desperate to get up there. So I'm kind of hoping things open up a little bit in some sense,
There
from
was
a
a guy,
selfish standpoint.
the guy said to me, he said, they want us to wear a mask, they should give us them. And I'm like, dude, they want you to wear clothes. I mean, there's other things that you expect to show up with.
Yeah. When did they put that rule in place that you got to wear clothes on a flight?
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, what kind of country do we live in?
I can share with the group. I recently just crossed the Canadian-U.S. border.
Oh, you did?
I did, coming into the U.S.
And you're allowed to do that?
Because coming into the U.S. technically, I'm coming home. I was up in the U.S. visiting some family right when everything shut down, so I just hunkered down for a bit there. And
So you were in Canada, and then you were able to come back. Huh.
correct.
I don't know. I guess I got to dig deeper, but I was told that, I don't remember if it was the Canadian government or the US government. It's blocked until I think sometime in June. And I have a flight booked in June right now to go up to my house. And I heard that they're talking about extending it for months further.
I believe June 20th is
June
the date.
20th is, yeah, they just extended it to June 20th from May 21st.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's when going into Canada, you're required to go into a 14-day isolation.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Interesting.
like his whole trip to Canada, all 14 days?
What did you say, Chris?
I said, isn't that like your whole trip to Canada? You go up to your country house up there, you're there for like 14 days or a month or something?
I mean, usually, yeah. I'd like to say
you got
that
to
I go there
quarantine
for
for
3
2
months.
weeks.
Yeah, I go up and quarantine and come back and quarantine. It's not really worth it, is it? I mean, if anyone has a private jet that would be willing to come pick me up in Palm Beach and take me to Calgary, Canada, I'd be very appreciative.
You got to make friends with Les. He's
You
got
don't
a,
have a
he's
company
got a
jet,
private jet.
Marcel?
Yeah, yeah. So, what else?
Kind of
Anyone
a thin
get booked
crowd
yet
today,
for
isn't it?
Yeah, Greg,
Hi.
how the heck are you?
I just brought my bag of ice cubes. I'm fine. How are you?
Bag of ice cubes. There you go. Good. I think you're usually like a phone lurker, right?
What's that?
You don't usually come in video. I think you come in by phone when you're here.
No, actually, I've not been here yet. This is my first visit. So.
Oh,
hi.
wow.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know Greg owns Clearwing Audio, or Clearwing Productions, I think it's called now, right?
Clearing whatever we can get a buck for.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearwing stages, masks,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nitrile gloves, whatever. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you doing?
How's everyone? Good?
No.
Okay. Sorry. to hear
Apparently
that.
we're still closed. Yeah.
Well, we had our first confirmed COVID employee case today, so I'm bummed about that. But
Uh-oh.
yeah, in Phoenix. So I got to spend $4,000 cleaning the warehouse.
Oh boy. And where are those ACT guys? They'll sell you UVC products.
Yeah.
Days.
Well, Aaron Hubbard and I are real close, so I can get that whenever I want. But
yeah.
Yeah, just get some of those and put those in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Joey Gallagher from Gallagher Staging has a cleaning service going as well. Might be an opportunity.
I got an email from him today, a couple of them, I think, about this new thing that he's got going on, which looked pretty interesting. Anyone know anything about that?
The Sanctuary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rocco.
Social Sanctuary.
Yeah, so they are doing a live stream on the weekends of EDM music. They've got some different vendors in there that have contributed, whether it be effects, lighting, staging, and they've got everyone built out in their own little 10 by 10 cubicle. And they come in, clean the zone first, and get one group set up at a time, and then re-clean it again to allow the artist to come in to stream music.
What a massive pain in the ass. I mean,
Well, I saw on Celebrity Access yesterday that they're doing a drive-in concert in Fort Worth here coming up in a couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
somebody's going to stick their toes in the deep water there and see how it goes.
Yeah, they're going to do a bunch of those in LA. I've had 3 or 4 calls this week already, and there were about a half a dozen last week of people wanting to do them in various parking lots. And
Yeah, I'm
trying to figure
surprised about LA because I just saw they extended the lockdown to
Yeah,
August.
thanks. That's
today.
awesome. Yeah, we're
But-
thrilled.
What, not
but
the
are there any?
not the May 15th reopen?
No,
Cancel the Hollywood
July
Bowl.
31st.
Yeah,
July 31st.
Sex offenders get out faster than we are.
yeah, that's
New York, they're talking about opening on Friday, like phase 1 here.
Did anybody see the German rave that did that with had everybody come in cars?
I did
Yeah, I
see.
saw that.
I mean, it did end up exactly how I thought it would. A bunch of douchebags slamming on their horns constantly, but they did it.
They brought their own strobe lights, flicking the high beams back and forth.
Yeah, it's just what you want. More lighting, guys. Christ almighty.
Awesome. Pass out laser pointers as they enter.
Yeah, crowd audio and lighting interaction really isn't a selling point when they're doing it with cars.
Are those our new dance festivals of the future with our cars?
No, absolutely not.
A little scary, actually.
You know,
I suspect
Although I
society
do
will
think-
accept the death rate and just go back to normal.
I do think bringing back drive-in movies is a great idea.
There's a big push going on with that right now.
It kind of seems to be a no-brainer. You just have to get all the flea markets out of the old drive-in movies because they seem to have taken them over everywhere.
Yeah, it's the bathroom thing here. That's the problem is that as soon as people start drinking, the social
Yeah.
distancing goes away, and then you've got to go to the restroom or go to the concession stand, and now you're going to interact with people, and what are you going to do?
Was that really ever a safe place? The bathroom at a
No.
drive-in? I mean, I think I caught things there when I was 15, So
It's actually
I don't know
a-
that it's any worse
This is
today.
from Dirty Keys.
Well,
There's
they've
actually-
reopened some of South Florida, and oddly enough, they've reopened certain aspects of parks and public areas, but not bathrooms. So I'm not sure what they expect people to do.
Yeah, I went to a
You'll
restaurant
probably
last
find
night,
different-
folks. I actually went to a real restaurant last night with real people, a
Oh, wow.
server.
Is Flanagan's a real restaurant?
Well, I mean, it's a shit real restaurant, but it's a
We
restaurant.
have those in
I'm going to a
Florida,
real
like-
good restaurant on Saturday on the island, on Palm Beach Island. So that'll be good. But no, I mean, I went to Flanagan's. So I
Are
got a
you going to
16-year-old
test
kid.
this?
He's going to get a burger, whether it's $8 at Flanagan's or like $70 at Ruth's Chris or whatever, right? So
That just means that both of you got in a bar fight.
yeah, true. Flanagan's ain't that bad.
But I'm sure after this hiatus, it still felt special.
Oh, it felt amazing. I mean, it was weird as hell. It was just like, you kind of feel like you're doing something bad, walking in there and kind of going, wow, there's people here. This is weird. But it was awesome. I mean, it was really cool to just sit there and order a beer and eat some food. And,
So
it's
how
just-
that with a mask on?
you had to wear a mask from the front door to the table and from the table to the bathroom or whatever, and then back to the front door. But otherwise, when you were at your table, you didn't wear a mask. And it was every second table. And it wasn't very busy. Actually,
Turn the mask down to catch the crumbs.
no, the mask was sitting off to the side on the table.
You just pick it
And,
up, put it back on.
No.
Does the staff all need to wear masks as well?
Yes, yeah, the waiter's wearing a mask, and
That's what they're
all the staff that I could see, and then all the condiments they give you in little, closed containers. Like I ordered Tabasco sauce, and they give you a little plastic container with a lid on it, not the bottle, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I thought they did an okay job. Although I ordered a draft beer, and then I'm sitting there looking at it, going, "Why did I order a draft beer? This is kind of stupid. Like, why not get a bottle where nobody's actually drank from it before? That would probably be good."
Yeah,
But,
LA just rolled out the opening of the restaurants here, but with no date. So the restaurants have like the guidelines, but there's no date of when they're going to be open.
Well, if they're closed till June something, if LA is still closed till June something, you're not going to have restaurants
Phase 2.
anytime
It's
soon, are you?
phase 2, Marcel.
I just saw September 6th today
For what?
Holy
for
shit.
LA. I saw it on the internet. Yeah. God, you can believe everything you see on the
Yeah,
internet.
if it's on the internet, it's true.
I believe that's colleges for September 6th.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and theaters in New York.
Well,
Yeah.
the theaters is just proposed because I get the local one email blasts. They've refunded and canceled up through June and are expecting to try to open for September, but nothing's confirmed yet.
Crazy.
Well, if you
Anyone got a
want-
gig yet?
We have two friends. I won't disclose their names because they're under strict NDAs, but we have two friends that went out this weekend as programmers. And Tom Kenny's has a few studio projects for the fall that haven't canceled yet.
That's cool.
A little glimmer of hope.
We have a
Anyone here have an actual gig?
we have a high school graduation in Prosper, Texas.
Hey, those used to be small. Now they're kind of a big deal.
Okay. Or like
Yeah.
confetti and fireworks.
Yeah. You know, I had yesterday on my podcast, I had David Davidian, and, you know, first of all, great guy. I mean, amazing guy. Said nice things about you, Peter Morse, of course. I mean, who doesn't, right? But we were also talking about how old guys don't like to operate consoles because the consoles have become so complicated now. And I said, but Peter never operated a ETC expression console or whatever, you know, like an Avo QM500. He never operated.
Programmers won't let me near it.
There's
For good
reasons
reason.
behind that, I think. There's reasons behind that. But one of the
You got a
problems
social
is
distance from the console,
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah.
6 feet. 6
But
feet.
one of the problems, and Peter, you fall into the same category, is some of the artists are actually, you know, in that sort of danger zone where, you know, they don't want to go out and play a show until it really is safe because, you know, in their late 60s or even 70s in some cases. And so, you know, David is working with Alice Cooper, and Alice Cooper isn't in any rush to get back out working right now. So
I would say that applies to most of them
yeah,
at this point in time. I don't know if you know this, and I tuned in late, so this may have been discussed, but Hollywood Bowl announced today that they're shutting down for the summer, first time in 98 years.
oh wow, that is sad.
Hey, Peter, can
That
I
is
ask you a
sad.
quick question, sidebar kind of thing? Is Stan Moress still around?
Yep, he
Okay.
sure is. He's in Nashville, and you can find him on Facebook.
Okay. Well, we worked together years ago, you and I and he, on Eddie Rabbit. I mean, that's been
Right.
forever ago.
Right.
But I haven't heard from him since, so I just kind of wondered.
I get occasional messages from him, but he's hanging out in Nashville.
All right, just wondered. Thanks.
Peter,
don't
you
think
need a
he's working.
haircut.
Oh boy, I'm going to get one this afternoon.
No way.
Well, my wife's going to try.
Oh, okay, there you go.
My
Yeah.
wife did try. She missed a couple spots.
But I mean, I could. This is all plastered down right
It doesn't
now.
look
It's
as
out
bad
about
as I
here.
expected, Chris.
For that, Peter, you need a wife
I
who's
mean, it's bad. It's bad. It's just not as bad as I expected, you know. But here in Florida, our hair salons are open.
What's that?
In Florida, our hair salons are open.
Second wave.
Yeah, well, I'll stick with California for now. Thanks.
Yeah. Marcia, you trying to talk?
Yeah, I'm trying to, but I was muted. Not in Broward County, not yet. Just Palm Beach County.
Well, because you people are crazy down there in Broward County.
Broward and Dade, we're following. Hey, you're the ones who opened up the hair salons, not us.
Yeah. Well,
Look, the whole damn world's fucking gone crazy.
the whole world's a bit crazy. Yes, it is.
Do we have any Europeans on this call today?
Come again?
Do we have any Europeans on this call? Any
We
of
do.
our brethren?
Well, we're all European originally, right?
Does first generation American count?
Steve Warren.
Ourselves
Close.
Oh yeah, Steve. How is it over there?
to leave, so I'm still European in
Steve.
every sense of the word.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Marsha? Good to see you.
Likewise.
You too. Sorry, Matt. Yeah.
No, I'm just kind of curious. Like in the United States, it's kind of stopped being reporting what's going on in Europe and everything. And I'm just kind of curious what's going on. Are countries still in lockdown? Are they opening up?
Well, the developments are so small, really. I mean, today we're all supposed to be excited because today is the day that we actually start to release the country. But the steps are so small and so unclear that it's hard to get excited about them. We're allowed to go out all day. We're allowed to go for, what did it say? Unlimited amounts of exercise, but nobody actually has to run. So, you know, you can just be out as long as you say you're exercising. So,
That video from Boris was hilarious.
yeah,
Go to
well,
work.
I suppose the main thing
Don't
is,
go to work.
yeah, it was so unclear, wasn't it? But basically, if you can't work from home, you've been asked to go back to work. But at the same time, they've also increased the furlough scheme. But then it's unclear about how much the government's going to pick up, how much the company's going to pick up. So they're going to start tapering it off, I think, in August. But we were all still surprised that, you know, it seemed quite generous. But I suppose they're trying to avoid that huge unemployment spike. So, but yeah, I think, you know, so you started seeing a little bit more traffic outside, and they're saying that maybe hospitality starts again, small hospitality events by the end of July. But of course, it's, you know, it's all speculation. It's all covered in, you know, caveats of if that R number goes up, then everything stops again. So it's understandable. For me, the vitamin D thing, the people with vitamin D are dying less. So more sun. I'm moving to California. That's my plan.
We have sun in Florida too, and we don't have state income tax, and
Yeah.
we're already open.
Yeah, you got all that vitamin D. You're gonna be fine, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Come to Florida.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Unless you're from New York, because we already have enough of you. Well, Marcia, you're okay.
Thank you, Marcel. I am a native Floridian after all.
Yes. Well, I think you're a New Yorker.
It's just going home for
I do
her.
too, actually.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to be a Floridian sometimes.
Well, you know, we have
But
our
I-
moments.
But I do have bananas and mangoes in my backyard, so there's a plus side to it.
But are they diseased bananas
No.
and mangoes?
Absolutely not.
Do they
They're
get
delicious. No.
coronavirus bananas and mangoes? I don't know.
I have a
I
very
haven't followed
clean,
the news
healthy-
lately.
My house, my yard, everything is clean and healthy. My little enclave here. Outside, forget about it.
You spray them with a little bit of tequila and lime.
Cheers to
So-
that, guys.
Greg Jones, you've been very quiet today. Greg Jones?
Because they took away his microphone, apparently.
Yeah. He had it for a week.
He did, yeah.
There he is.
The lease was up.
He's on the
Harmon
phone.
gear.
Greg? We're talking to you, boy.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm known for being a high tech. So
Yes.
what's
Sound
happening?
good this week.
Thank you.
Anything new in your world?
Anything new? Yeah, just, you know, some disappointment. I mean, literally, our headquarters at Harmon, you know, we took an approach for all offices in the U.S. across all divisions, and I think it's 13 offices, and we were literally rolled out an internal email that we were going to open up on split shifts yesterday, and an hour later, the mayor extended the Los Angeles timeline, and so just, you know, I got a chance to witness and got calls in an hour on how much just the thought of going back a couple days a week was lifting spirits, and then to have that pulled back was a little disheartening yesterday.
Can't you flip the bird like Elon Musk did? And isn't,
You know what?
isn't Harmon big
you know,
enough?
I'm sure, but I don't believe that individual at Harmon is willing to do that, right?
Right,
So-
you could go there and say you could be arrested for on everybody's behalf, right?
Yeah, you know, that'd be a hell of a publicity stunt, right? I'm gonna go to jail for a couple of days just to for some smiles. But yeah,
Make
so,
sure you stream that.
yeah, we no different than any other manufacturer. We're trying to figure out. We're doing our best to keep our people employed, but you know, at this point, you know, how long can we do that? You know, is the question. So far, we've been unaffected on the employment front, but you know, it's
Greg. I'm going to say it quietly. You're owned by fucking Harman or by Samsung.
Yeah.
You can
You're
keep
right.
people employed forever for like until 2099.
Yes.
Come on,
yes.
man. They have
Yeah.
don't they have 3 CEOs or something at Samsung? Fire a CEO and you can keep Harman employed for another 10 years.
Yeah, there's probably some truth to that, but you know, it's still a business, right? And we're still a wholly owned subsidiary of Samsung and
I
Harman.
understand.
So held accountable.
Everyone looks
for
at the spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyone else? Anything exciting? Something fun? Come on, man.
Indiana's starting to open up.
That's good.
Yeah, we are on stage 2 of 5, and it's the most convoluted plan you can imagine. Go online and
Go
look at it.
figure.
Yeah. Well, we're on stage 2, which means we can have social gatherings of 25 people or less. Face coverings recommended. Government offices limited access. Retail 50% capacity. Restaurants 50% capacity. And May 11th, which was yesterday, 2 days ago, personal services, so hair care and all of that opened up. No
Right.
entertainment, no bars, no gyms. But the goal is by July 4th to make that the goal for everybody taking your mask off and going back to normal. Who knows?
Yeah. So, you know, basically what they're saying is blah, blah, blah. We haven't got a fucking clue. Blah, blah, blah. You know, we're going to do this.
Yeah,
blah,
that's
blah,
it.
you know, please reelect me next year, you know. Yeah. So did anyone other than me buy the UFC fight on Saturday night? Just me?
We don't have
Me
that.
and Greg Jones?
Just you.
The
Me and
funny
Greg
thing is,
Jones?
Marcel, I stopped watching UFC, but since just the thought of having a live sporting event to watch was just worth every
Yeah.
penny. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm back to being a bludgeon fight fan, but I appreciated it. It was worth the spend.
How was that without the crowd?
It was weird as hell. Like, it was
Yeah.
weird as hell. And, you know, I mean, the fighting was amazing. There were a couple of really great fights. What's his name?
Rogan?
No, the big, huge black dude who nailed it like 20 seconds in or something. He knocked the guy out.
Yeah.
What the hell's his name? I forget. What the hell's his name? I can't remember. It's a crazy African name. I can't remember it.
There was a funny scene. Joe Rogan, who announces, was talking about how weird it was for him. But I'll be honest, after like the 3 or 4 fights in the beginning, I wasn't paying attention to the crowd, right? I was engaged in a
Well,
fight.
I think the guy who had the most trouble was what's his name? Bruce Buffer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh.
because he's like doing all that, you know, all his big thing that he does, you know, and it's time and all that stuff. And I think he gets that whole vibe from the crowd, and he wasn't getting it. So I think he was kind of struggling a bit with his bright, shiny sequins jacket and stuff. And but I don't know. I honestly, like you, Greg, I just loved having a live sport back. Although I can't say that I'm going to watch the NASCAR race this weekend. I mean, you know, I'm a racing fan, obviously, and my kid's a racing driver and all that stuff, but I just can't drag myself to watch a NASCAR race. I might do it just cause, but I don't know. It's like I won't watch WW whatever it's called this time, you know, the wrestling thing. But it's just great to have live sports back, and obviously the baseball is coming back. I think what's that, June?
Yeah, well, we've got the Travis McCready concert this weekend.
Oh yeah, right.
Did that get shut
Kind of
down by the governor, or is that?
Oh, I don't know. Did it?
There's a cease and desist coming out from the governor about it.
I was wondering
No
if that was
way.
going to happen. Of course.
Yeah, there is. It was out
Did
today.
it sell out? Like, I know
That's
it was like
insane.
30 something tickets. Did it sell out?
I don't know. We've been talking about it the last couple of days, and waiting for somebody to shut it down. We didn't see that happening.
Is this the Missouri concert that was scheduled, Pat, for the 18th?
Yeah, it's
Arkansas.
Arkansas. There you go.
Yep.
But isn't it it's not a drive-in thing. It's in a
No, it's
club
at
or
Temple
something.
Live.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
They had like 200 people scheduled in a 1,200 seat venue. They were just going to limit it to 200 and so on. So,
but why is that an issue? I don't get it.
It's on the 15th, and the stay-at-home order is lifted on the 18th. So they're doing it 3 days in advance for some reason.
Because they want to be the first. That was their thing. They wanted to show everybody it was safe, which we were all terrified.
Well, it's kind of stupid to be the first 3 days before you're allowed to even be the first, right?
Yep.
Yeah, somebody mentioned graduations, and we have a dear family friend that she just told us this morning that her high school is doing their graduation at a college arena, right? Which, and limiting it to 1,000 people and spreading them out literally rows apart. And they've gotten the green light there in Texas, outside of Houston. And I asked her, because she runs a theater department there, and are you doing a lighting package? And of course, they just took everything down from the school theater, so there's no rental for anybody out there. But that lifted me slightly, right? That at least the venues are opening up in the states in which that they're being responsible about it. So let's hope
They're
we see
doing a
more of
few of
that.
the graduations out in Vegas at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and having all the graduates drive the finish line basically and handed their diploma.
Hey, I have a question for the Vegas guys. So, your governor sort of follows along with our governor. Is there any fear that you guys are going to get extended, or are the casinos still going to open at the end of the month?
I mean, it sounds like they're coming towards the end of the month. That's the internals I've heard.
The official word is that it's part of phase 2.
Yeah.
And that phase 2 is currently set to start on May 30th, June 1st, whatever that, I think May 30th is the last day of phase 1. Approximately 4 or 5 days prior to that, the governor is set to reevaluate where we are to see if we can go earlier than that. And of course, through that evaluation, if it goes the other way, if it needs to be extended.
There you
before
go.
Authorize phase 2.
So are they taking hotel reservations right now?
They're taking hotel reservations for, I think for Memorial Day weekend. I think that fits into
I
that.
think there's a few of them that still have Memorial Day up. Yeah.
The Wynn has Memorial Day up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, they're hell bent on it, but they're also very pragmatic. At least, I mean, when you're having internal conversations with some of the higher ups, they're all very pragmatic about the fact that none of it means shit if California is not opening or allowing their people to leave. So basically, if we can't get Californians into Vegas, it's just not worth it, because the East Coast's not going to come. And the longer it goes, the harder it is for financially for people to come for extended travel, whereas Californians can just drive in and it's rather easy and inexpensive. So it's very dependent on California as far as they're concerned. And then from an overall financial standpoint, people like Matt Maddox at Wynn and Shelley Adelson with Venetian Palazzo and Marina Bay Sands and things, they're looking at this more of a global issue, and their Vegas properties only represent approximately 10% of their global revenue, because the primary revenue comes out of Macau. So they're really not looking to stir pots over Las Vegas, and they don't want to dick around. It's the smaller companies or a company like MGM, which doesn't have major presence in the Asian markets, that are really pushing it harder than everybody else.
What's going on in Macau, Pat? Is there anything open globally from a gaming perspective?
I actually haven't looked at Macau. I don't know
Macau is open, but it's very limited, and they haven't been allowing a lot of people into Macau.
I think that's your bigger issue is any travel with mainland China and Hong Kong. Even getting out of Hong Kong is a pain in the ass for a lot of people right now. Because you obviously have to take the ferry over and leave there. And Hong Kong's it's such a fucking hotbed of bullshit right now. On top of the coronavirus issue, you have all of the pro-democracy riots that are going on. It's a lot of turmoil in that area. That's not doing any favors for any of these casino companies.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear Universal's starting to open soon?
Yeah, I heard that.
That's huge. I mean, that to me is going to be a big.
Shanghai opened, I believe.
The what?
Disney in Shanghai.
Yeah, that one's open already. But here in the U.S., I think
30% capacity.
Yeah.
So you can
That's better than zero.
So you can actually get on a ride now. That's cool.
Yeah, that's all that. That's a Tuesday afternoon in December.
But the thing is, Disney, Universal, etc. They need to, if they open at 25 or 30% capacity, they need to maintain their lights and sound. They need to upgrade their lights and sound. They need to keep that stuff moving, whether they're at 30% or 100% of capacity. So I think from a supplier and rental company and all of those things standpoint, that's a good thing. Whether they open at 20% or 100%, it doesn't matter to us.
Yeah, both Disney and Universal in California have been doing like upgrades and maintenance while this whole thing's been going.
Yeah.
So they've been like working like crazy.
Same with schools, churches, colleges, etc. They've all been pretty busy.
Marcel, do you have any view to these countless ships parked off the coast where you're at?
I don't, but I'm sure someone does.
Yeah,
I mean,
just seen pictures, and it's just surreal to see so many boats just parked.
Well, I've read some articles. It's got a lot to do with repatriatizing people, So depending on the cruise line, they're either from the Czech Republic or they're from Philippines or they're from Romania or they're from wherever. So it's got to do with immigration basically. And you can't just bring them and put them in the United States because they're really not allowed to be here. And so yeah, it's a complicated problem. I read an article about it yesterday because what's happening is people like from Romania and stuff are jumping overboard on ships, trying to swim to shore or whatever so that they can get off the damn ship and try and get to land, and they're dying.
Well, they're having U.S.
thing.
citizens do that.
Where?
They're in Long Beach. They're having problems with that. People have jumped overboard to get off the ship.
Jesus.
Crazy. We just had, like in Canada, they had just a dozen or so people that were repatriated just in the last few days from a few of these ships, and it took them 8 weeks to get off these ships. They spent 8 weeks on these ships. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, it's a very sad thing. I mean, when you've got someone who works on a cruise ship and all they're trying to do is get home, it's a pretty sad thing.
Is it just crew that are on these ships, or is it passengers still?
Well, I think the ones that
crew.
Greg is talking about is crew. Yeah. I mean, I think Claudette was talking about passengers, but Greg was talking about crew.
I'm talking about crew as well. Ours
Oh,
was
really?
crew. Yeah, ours is crew as well. Yeah.
I didn't know we still employed North American people on cruise ships. I
Yeah,
thought it was all either
Yeah.
Asian or Eastern European.
Well, luckily, most of the crew on the lighting side, is in audio is still, I think, North America-based guys. So that's
wow. Yeah. Huh.
Unfortunately, they're not working, but
yeah. That's a head scratcher. I mean, the fact that cruise lines think that they can get back to work as quickly as they can. I don't know. I'm actually a pretty brave person as far as I'll go out. Like I'd go to a show, next month. If somebody said, we're going to be in town next month and we've got so-and-so here or whatever, and it's going to be 30% capacity or something, I'd go to the show. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I don't know that I'd go on a cruise next month. I do know that I wouldn't go on a cruise next month. So,
well, I mean, there are people that are diehard cruisers. Like they'll go on 6 or 8 cruises a year, and if they can get on a cruise ship for $250 for a week, they're going to do it. All expenses included, and
worse than that, there's cruise condos. Like you can live on a cruise ship now. So a lot of these people who are, you know, in their 70s or 80s and they're really wealthy, you can buy a condo on a cruise ship and just live on a cruise ship and cruise all year.
Yeah, there was a cruise ship called The World that you could buy a unit on. And
right. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you, Dave.
Hockey soon. 24 teams in Canada, 2 cities.
What? When's their hockey?
I'll call you after and explain to you. I talked to Mark today.
Well, I want to know. Tell us all. When are we going to see hockey?
So they're saying mid-July. They're opening up camps June 1st. Everybody's going to start going into Canada June 1st. All the players will be quarantined for 14 days. They're going to basically do 2 12-team tournaments in 2 Canadian cities because it's cheaper to do it in Canada than it is the U.S. because of the exchange rate. So they're going to do 2 round-robin tournaments to get to the playoffs and then do playoffs and Stanley Cup, but it'll all be Canadian-based.
Over the summer?
Yep.
That's going to be nutty.
Yeah. Well, it's because...
So how do you know if you're... So how do you know if you're in the playoffs or not?
It's the
Is
top,
that this round-robin thing or whatever?
Teams, top 12 teams will be in the tournament, and whoever wins, how they're setting it up, will go into the playoffs.
So are any of my teams in then, David?
I haven't even looked at standings.
Yeah.
But the problem is with the NHL is that if they don't complete this, the players have to give back $500 million.
That's a bit of cash.
Yeah. So
I mean, so you're saying like a March Madness of
hockey. Yeah, that's
that
what
would
it'll
be fun.
be. But it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest bummers for me because this is usually my favorite time of year. Like April when hockey playoffs start, every night I'm watching hockey from 7 o'clock at night until midnight or whatever. 5 different games, just flipping back and forth to all these games and texting with Ambrosio. Hey,
Exactly.
But yeah, I miss it big time.
Hey, can I put a question out to everybody? Because I'm here in Chicago. I know Tyler Roach is here in Chicago. And I've been having these discussions with people about how everything is closed down. Like, we can go to the Home Depot. We can go to the grocery store. We can go out as long as we wear our masks and things. Is it same deal in all these other places, or is it more restricted? Can anybody else kind of give me some insight?
Pretty much
Hollywood, Florida,
the same in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Hollywood, Florida is about the same too.
Yeah, New York.
Palm Beach, we can do whatever the hell we want.
In Houston, nobody's wearing a mask at all. That's the problem.
I can tell you when I was up in Toronto, most everything was curbside pickup. You called in to your Home Depot, ordered what you wanted, and you showed up and picked it up.
In New York, you can go to a Home Depot, you can walk down the street, you just got to wear a mask.
Yeah, same as you.
Yeah, and restaurants and bars are actually, Cuomo allowed bars to do to-go drinks. So you can actually now drink on the street if you want to. You go to
that in LA.
Matt, do you find that there's lines to get into like Home Depot or the Lowe's or those kinds of stores? Because they're limiting access down here to so many people at a time.
Yeah, there are, but the lines, usually you stand in a line 6-foot distance for about 10 minutes and you're in. Same thing at the grocery stores. Today I went grocery shopping for the first time. I didn't wait in a line. I went right in. I think people kind of get the routine now. And everyone's really cool about it. The one thing that's great about New Yorkers are we're like resilient to this stuff. So like we're able to like roll with the punches. And there are people that are fighting about, having to be stuck inside and not working. But the majority of New Yorkers are like, we got to do this for the betterment of our, the greater good.
Well, as someone who was in New York for 9/11, I found the silence of 9/11 the one thing that stuck with me the longest. And I cannot imagine, I was in the city on the 12th of March when everything shut down and flew back down here the next day. and it's literally been quiet since then. I can't imagine. It was like by day 3 after 9/11, everything south of 34th Street, between 34th and 14th Street, pretty much opened up. By the 3rd or 4th day, I can't imagine this many weeks. It must be very Twilight Zone-ish, Matt.
Yeah, I had a friend send me a video from Washington Square Park, and literally not a car, not a person, not a homeless person. You can only hear birds. That's it. And it was like 8 o'clock at night. It was creepy.
Occasionally on the news, they'll give us a clip of Times Square and there's a mounted police person, or in one of the clips I saw the naked cowboy, the street minstrel. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There was one picture that got spent on Times Square. Him and one taxi. That was it.
Mark, a couple weeks ago, I took a ride through Times Square.
Sorry?
A couple weeks ago, I took a ride through Times Square. I was bored, had to get out of the house. Took a ride to the city. I went from 57th Street to the Holland Tunnel, which is 70 blocks, 60 blocks. I never went below 30 miles an hour.
Wow.
And that was like a Tuesday in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen.
I went to Astoria, Astoria Park, where I live, to Times Square, and it took me like 12 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to the Christie Light shop the other day. It was like an hour and 10 minutes. Normally it's like 2.5, 3 hours from my house.
I found this week down here, traffic has almost doubled locally from what it was last week. I think people are getting a little antsy also.
You can say it. Hi, guys. Aloha from Hawaii.
Aloha.
Hey, Bob.
Technically, we're under close down until the end of the month, but shopping centers are reopening on the weekend. So definitely things in conflict here. I was late today because I actually went to a site inspection for a show that I might to light a building this weekend. So good.
Wow.
There's something. I'll let you guys know.
That's awesome. Good luck.
I listened to your David Davidian interview the entire way, though. I had a good time. Thanks.
Yeah. David's such a great guy. He really is. I mean, I don't know that I know many people who are more humble than him. He's just like, yeah, it's just a job. It's just a job. And I mean, you look at his resume and you're like, what? But yeah.
My favorite David Davidian story is we were doing Bon Jovi, and the follow spot operator, he was on a truss spot, a backlight, and managed to, he likes to pull on things. And on a different occasion, he unscrewed the knob for the iris, for the shutter, I think. So he's pretty notorious, and he managed to unplug it. He was swinging around in his chair and unplugged his headset. And so he was the last one in line. And then he started like anticipating his own cues, and you could see him up there bopping his head, trying to anticipate when he ought to be on. And
oh my God.
Totally deadpan David Davidian on the headset goes, if I had a shotgun, I'd take him out from here.
Well, hearing David talk about the Monsters of Rock thing, that was crazy. I mean, how badly that went, the fact that he couldn't even use this massive stage, and I mean, it was just like a horror show, complete horror show. Roel. Give him a wake-up call.
Yeah, I was doing some work.
Some work.
Yeah.
How are you? Somebody called out Europeans earlier and you didn't answer.
Yeah, I was busy. We're doing fine. Working hard, but
well, you had no revenue before this happened, so nothing's changed for you.
For me, it doesn't change a lot. But the funding market is differently at the moment, and we had an opportunity which we jumped on, but I can't not elaborate for the moment about that. But it will come in.
Yeah.
In a month or so, we will come out with it.
Good.
Trying to keep positive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is just trying to keep positive. I mean, I wake up every morning thinking, what the hell is going on? Like, I keep expecting I'm going to wake up and it's over, it's gone and everything's back to normal, but it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, indeed. We will see.
Normal. There's an interesting word.
Yeah. Emily. I was telling you on your on Facebook. I was telling you about this gimbal thing that DJI, whatever the hell it's called. I actually bought one. So they're on sale right now for like $89, and it's
Is
like
it just for iPhones or like normal cameras too?
It's for an iPhone. It's right here. This
Oh,
is what it
okay.
looks like. They're $89. It is amazing. It's so easy to use. It's
Was that
totally
the
amazing.
Osmo?
'Cause
Yeah.
I use a Canon, so I don't know how easy I'd be able to find
Well,
it.
I have
cheap
that one
enough.
too. I have that one
Okay.
too. That's right here.
Oh,
But
nice.
this one, it's like too complicated and stuff, you
Yeah.
know? So it just sits here and looks pretty while I'm on a podcast or something. This one I
mean,
actually
I've got like a
probably will
35
use.
millimeter, like full body, like DSLR.
Yeah, well, you even
camera.
need a bigger one than that then probably. So,
Justin's
but I
used
mean,
that to film some of our comedy YouTube crap, and they're great.
yeah,
It's so
it's
easy to use.
amazing. I'm blown away by it. I mean, I think I literally paid like $85 for it or something.
Yeah.
And I'm
great.
blown away by how cool it is.
DJI
it's
makes some really
super
cool
easy.
stuff.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
got
well,
a new
my son's
Wacom
got like
tablet
the
today, so
a what?
a new Wacom tablet for drawing and stuff and graphic arts
Oh.
stuff. So
Fancy.
yeah, I'll have to add the gimbal to my next
Fancy.
toy list.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think this thing's totally cool.
On that
I don't know
subject,
what I'm gonna do with it.
does anybody have anything to report like that are good deals right now? I'll tell you a funny story. I went to finally. My kid needed a bicycle, and we're riding every night. And I kept telling my wife, just wait, the prices will go down. Actually, bicycles went up in price. The guy
Yeah,
charged
I was gonna
$20
say
more.
that.
Because
Yeah,
we couldn't. There was 2 bicycles, the one we wanted in all of Los Angeles. So I had to drive, 35 miles to get it. But I am
Which is
looking.
so strange. Like gas is at a 20-year low or something, and bicycles are the hot item. Doesn't make
Yeah,
any
right.
sense.
Gyms are all closed. Nobody can go to the gym work out, so they're all buying bikes.
Right. It's true.
But
Yeah,
has
well,
anybody got a
actually-
tip on good deals out there on anything that they've?
Well,
picked up?
I was thinking of on the topic of bicycles. I was thinking of buying one of those Peloton things, which I'm not going to. But I did a ton of research on it, and then I went, yeah, I really want one. So I went on the Peloton site, and it's like a 10-week delay or something. You can't get one delivered until July or whatever. So I went, okay, good. I'm an impulse buyer. If I can't get it till July, I'll come back in July. I have no interest today. So plus it looks really hard, so I kind of talked myself out of it.
Start
Who
with the-
really
start
wants
with
to
the
try
mirror.
and keep up with those people?
Start with the mirror,
Yeah.
Marcel.
Listen, when you're 55 and a little overweight, the last thing you want is a friggin' mirror. I don't want to be jumping around in front of a mirror.
The mirror is it's a thing that hangs on your wall. It's a mirror until you turn it on, and then it gives you access to workouts and everything.
Greg, I get it. I understand what the mirror thing is, but do you really want to work out in front of a mirror? I don't. I just don't, I mean, if I looked like the people on the mirror, maybe I'd want to work out in front of a mirror. I don't look like that.
Good point.
I'm just saying.
You do look like the people on the mirror. It's the concept of a mirror.
It's just a different mirror. I'm on the scary mirror.
Fun. Marcel's the only person with a funhouse mirror in his living room.
I have a scary, scary mirror. All right, everyone's ditching us now, so I think it's probably time to go, right? Anyone have anything funny to say before we sign off here? Come on.
Guys, you got anything? You got anything you want to say? Fuck it. Don't listen to them.
That's so funny. Patrick, you definitely win the background of the year.
Yeah, those
I mean,
guys, they've been talking shit about you this whole time, Pat.
They're dicks.
I know.
They're totally dicks.
But they're a little repetitive. After an hour, they get a little repetitive.
It's very much like myself. They're kind of a one-trick pony.
Totally true. Totally true.
A little creepy.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Hey, it's been
fun
fun.
as always.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
See
great
you
week,
next week.
everybody.
Have a great
All right,
week.
man.
See y'all next week.
All right, you guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Out.